A prominent businesswoman receives a speeding citation. She enters Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom and instantly begins belittling him, declining to pay the fine and attempting to exit in the middle of the proceeding. Yet what Judge Caprio does subsequently will serve as a powerful reminder that wealth cannot purchase respect and that hubris carries significant penalties. This narrative belongs to Patricia Whitmore, and it demonstrates the outcome when a sense of privilege confronts genuine authority inside a courtroom where one's moral fiber count for more than their financial statement. Tell us which city you're joining us from, because this account of personal responsibility strikes a chord anywhere folks are weary of observing affluent people believe regulations are for others. On a Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock at Providence Municipal Court, Judge Frank Caprio readies himself for what appears to be a standard traffic violation hearing when his bailiff offers a quiet caution. Your Honor, this individual has been quite challenging towards the court personnel. The defendant, Patricia Whitmore, age 48, was ticketed for traveling 25 miles per hour above the posted limit in a suburban community. The arresting officer's report indicates the individual was combative, stated she was far too significant to be pulled over, declined to sign the ticket at first. Patricia Whitmore makes her entrance adorned in high-fashion attire from head to foot, clutching an expensive purse, glancing at her mobile device repeatedly, and signaling clearly via her posture and demeanor that she views this entire process as unworthy of her time. Miss Whitmore, Judge Caprio starts, maintaining his composure. You are present today concerning a speeding ticket. Please step forward. Patricia advances at a leisurely pace, still focused on her screen. Miss Whitmore, I require your complete focus. Please set your phone aside. Patricia glances up with obvious irritation. I am managing critical corporate affairs. Can we move this along swiftly? I possess genuinely significant matters to attend to today. The court instantly grows rigid at her contemptuous attitude directed at the judge. Miss Whitmore, this proceeding is significant, and you will offer it your undivided focus. Now, you are issued a citation for operating your vehicle at 55 in a 30-mile-per-hour area. How do you plead? This entire situation is preposterous. That posted limit is unreasonable for that particular street. I travel it daily, and I have never encountered an issue. Judge Caprio's demeanor stays composed yet resolute. That was not my inquiry. How do you plead to this charge? All right, fine. I exceeded the limit. May I simply pay the penalty and depart? I lack the time for this. Judge Caprio examines the ticket particulars while Patricia persists in displaying her frustration. Ms. Whitmore, 25 miles over the limit within a neighborhood is a grave matter. There are young children, families. Patricia cuts him off. I am familiar with that area. Those residents ought to instruct their children not to play close to the road. I should not be forced to drive 30 miles an hour because mothers and fathers cannot watch their kids adequately. The gallery responds with distinct sounds of displeasure at her heartless stance on the safety of children. Miss Whitmore, the posted maximum exists to safeguard every person in that community, not only the young. Your disposition regarding this violation troubles me. My disposition? Patricia's tone escalates. My perspective is that I am an accomplished entrepreneur receiving a sermon from a local magistrate regarding my driving on a route I utilize every day. This constitutes a squandering of my time and public funds. Judge Caprio rises, his forbearance plainly being challenged. Miss Whitmore, I must remind you that you are standing in a court of law. You shall demonstrate respect for these proceedings. Respect for what? For you mechanically approving citations to create income? I understand how this operates. I will pay your penalty and conclude this. Miss Whitmore, your monetary penalty for this infraction stands at $350 plus mandatory court fees. Patricia scoffs derisively. That is all? I expend more than that on a single meal. Simply charge it to my card, and I will be on my way. Judge Caprio's countenance turns severe. This is not a dining establishment, Miss Whitmore. This is a hall of justice, and you are approaching it as a mere nuisance instead of a solemn affair. Because is a nuisance. You are handling me like a lawbreaker for operating my vehicle slightly above the limit on a clear street. Judge Caprio endeavors to clarify the gravity of her offense, but Patricia's presumption only grows stronger. Miss Whitmore, I am examining your motor vehicle history. You possess 3 previous speeding citations within the past 2 years. So what? I settled every one. That is how this system functions, correct? You issue fines, I pay them, everyone is satisfied. No, Miss Whitmore, that is not how this operates. Every infraction signifies hazardous operation of a vehicle that could injure others. Patricia visibly rolls her eyes. Oh, spare me. I am a superb driver. I have been operating cars for 3 decades without a single collision. Your absence of collisions is fortunate, but it does not justify recurrent speeding offenses. Listen, Your Honor. Patricia utters the title with clear disdain. I am an extremely busy individual. I manage 3 separate corporations. I provide jobs for more than 200 individuals, and I contribute a greater amount to this city's tax revenue than the majority of people present in this room will earn throughout their entire lives. The public seating area gasps at her overt haughtiness and discourtesy. Miss Whitmore, your economic standing is immaterial to your duty to obey traffic regulations. Truly? Because from my vantage point, it appears this entire structure exists to extort funds from individuals like myself who genuinely add value to society. Judge Caprio's tone becomes severe. Miss Whitmore, I will request of you one final time to demonstrate respect for this court. And if I refuse, what do you intend to do, Judge? Penalize me with more currency that I do not value? You cannot frighten me. I am not some frightened adolescent or impoverished individual who must grovel and show deference before you. The chamber falls into total silence, stunned by Patricia's blatant scorn for the authority of the judiciary. Miss Whitmore, your conduct in this courtroom is equally troubling as your speeding. Both demonstrate a disrespect for regulations and the well-being of other people. Patricia retrieves her phone once more. Are we finished here? Because I genuinely have critical appointments today. Place that device down, Miss Whitmore. We are not finished. Actually, I believe we are. Patricia turns towards the exit. Forward me the invoice. I will have my executive assistant settle it. If you're astonished by what you are viewing, press that like button and subscribe to Gavel Glimpse Official. We bring you remarkable judicial moments, such as this one. Miss Whitmore, if you take another step in the direction of that door without my authorization, you will be found in contempt of this court. Patricia halts, spinning around with a smug grin. Contempt for what? For failing to be awed by your miniature domain here. For demonstrating persistent disrespect towards this tribunal. For trying to depart in the middle of a proceeding. And for displaying the precise mindset that renders you a hazard on our streets. A hazard? I am a hazard because I do not grovel before a magistrate in a minor municipal court. Judge Caprio's voice gains immense power, resonating throughout the chamber. You are a hazard because you're convinced rules are not meant for you. You are a menace because you imagine your riches excuse you from basic politeness and lawful duties. And you are a danger because you possess zero consideration for the well-being of other people. This is absurd. I am departing. Patricia takes an additional step towards the exit. Bailiff, please guarantee Ms. Whitmore does not leave this courtroom. The bailiff moves forward and Patricia's assurance falters for the very first time. You cannot detain me here. Ms. Whitmore, I most certainly can. You are in my courtroom, and you will remain until this hearing is officially concluded. Now take your seat. Patricia stays on her feet, her pride battling against the abrupt understanding that she may not possess the level of control she assumed. Miss Whitmore, sit down immediately, or I will include a contempt charge with your speeding offense. Patricia gradually retreats to her spot, no longer glancing at her device. Now, let us address your circumstance clearly. You were ticketed for driving at an excessive speed in a residential neighborhood. This marks your 4th speeding citation in 2 years. You have displayed no regret, no comprehension of why this is important, and you have consistently disrespected these proceedings. I do not have to remain here and be lectured by, yes, Miss Whitmore, you do. That is precisely what is occurring at this moment. The audience observes as Judge Caprio systematically deconstructs Patricia's privilege piece by piece. Judge Caprio leans back, his face revealing resolve rather than fury. Miss Whitmore, your initial monetary penalty was $350. However, considering your conduct in this chamber, I am raising it to the maximum allowable, $500 plus mandatory court fees. Patricia's expression reveals authentic shock. You cannot do that. I can and I am. Furthermore, I am mandating that you participate in a defensive driving course within 30 days. A defensive driving course? I have been operating vehicles for decades, clearly unsuccessfully, given your 4 speeding citations. You will finish the course and submit certification to this court. This is preposterous. I will challenge this. You possess that right, Miss Whitmore. I urge you to describe for an appellate judge how you behaved in this courtroom and see whether they feel sympathetic. Patricia's haughtiness starts to fracture as the truth of repercussions sinks in. Moreover, I am appending a contempt of court charge for your actions today. That constitutes an extra $200 penalty. For what? For refusing to kiss your ring. For consistently showing disrespect to this court. For attempting to depart during a proceeding, and for displaying total disregard for the judicial process. Therefore, your total now amounts to $700 plus court fees, which brings the sum to $850 plus compulsory traffic school. Patricia's face pales. Comprehending her demeanor has cost her substantially more than if she had merely been polite. You are penalizing me for being accomplished. I am making you answerable for violating the law and for displaying scorn for the justice system. Your financial status is immaterial to your duties as a citizen. I demand to speak with your superior. I do not have a superior, Miss Whitmore. I am the presiding judge of this municipal court. But once more, you are invited to file an appeal. Subscribe to Gavel Glimpse Official if you wish to witness more instances where privileged conduct encounters genuine consequences. Patricia stands in silence, perhaps for the initial time understanding that her wealth and standing mean absolutely nothing inside this chamber. Miss Whitmore, I need you to comprehend something. This tribunal encounters people from all walks of life. Some can scarcely manage their penalties. Others, like yourself, view them as insignificant, but the law is applied equitably to every person. Patricia stayed quiet, her previous hubris entirely evaporated. When you hurry through residential communities, you are not simply violating a regulation, you are endangering human lives. Children reside there. Senior citizens stroll there. Families make their homes there. Your personal convenience is not more significant than their security. Your behavior today demonstrated to me precisely why you continue receiving citations. You believe regulations do not concern you. You imagine your professional achievements excuse you from fundamental politeness and lawful responsibilities. For the initial time, Patricia appears authentically uneasy rather than dismissive. I'm going to inform you what I communicate to every person who stands before me. This court values your moral character above your financial account. Today you demonstrated exceptionally poor character. Patricia finally speaks. May I simply pay the penalty and depart? Yes, but first you will offer an apology to this court for your disrespectful conduct. What? You heard me correctly? You will apologize for your disrespect, or I will include another contempt charge. Patricia stands mutely, her pride warring with practicality. Miss Whitmore, I am waiting. I apologize for my conduct in court today. Miss Whitmore, express it as though you mean it. Patricia draws a breath. Your Honor, I offer my apology for acting disrespectfully toward you and toward this court. My actions were improper. Judge Caprio gives a nod. Apology accepted. Now, allow me to be explicit about what occurs next. You will pay $850 in penalties and fees. You will finish traffic school within 30 days. You will supply evidence of completion to this court. Should you receive another speeding citation in the coming year, I will personally examine your case and contemplate suspending your license. Patricia nods, at last grasping the seriousness of her predicament. And Miss Whitmore, one final point. The next occasion you're motoring through that neighborhood at 55 miles per hour, I want you to recall this moment. Remember that your schedule is not more precious than the lives of other people. Yes, Your Honor. You're dismissed. The court clerk will handle your payment. As Patricia moves towards the clerk's desk, her movement is altered, less haughtily, more somberly, perhaps starting to comprehend that respect is not awarded based on riches, but achieved through one's moral fiber and actions. The narrative of Patricia Whitmore serves to remind us that a sense of privilege and overconfidence will invariably encounter their counter in an impartial courtroom, that currency cannot purchase esteem, and that responsibility is relevant to every person, irrespective of how accomplished they believe they are. Judge Frank Caprio demonstrated once more that genuine authority does not require to be boisterous or combative. It merely needs to be resolute, just, and unyielding when confronted with disrespect. Here's the question for every one of us. When we attain success, do we employ it to request privileged treatment, or do we recall that affluence and position do not excuse us from fundamental civility and legal duties? Patricia discovered that courtrooms function as the great leveler, where one's integrity counts infinitely more than their account balance, and where magistrates such as Frank Caprio guarantee that justice remains blind to economic standing. Remember to subscribe to Gavel Glimpse Official for additional astonishing judicial instances where justice is delivered and presumptuous conduct receives precisely what it merits.